All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training Support webinar. Today's date is August 14th, 2017, and this is a Monday night webinar. And the title of tonight's webinar is Let's Talk About Identified Swings. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar. Other webinars we have, our live trading room, or anything else with Viper Trading Systems should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? We're going to get started. All right, by the way, just a real quick show of hands. How many of you know without a shadow of a doubt what an identified swing is? And how many of you don't? I won't mention any names, I promise. And okay, several coming in saying, I know, good. And has that made a difference in your trading? That's the other thing. Lots and lots of them saying, yes, I believe I do. Okay, all right. Oh, good. Most everybody. So y'all are probably our veteran traders that just like to come to webinars and just assure yourself so you can make money. So we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Everybody knows. No, I'm teasing. There's some that said no. Okay. All right. Let's see. Easy to ID, easy ones, but when the swings get shorter and smaller, I find those difficult. Okay. I'm going to go over that tonight then. Let's go ahead and without further ado, I will get to some charts. Okay. And I went ahead and marked up this chart, but as you know, I use real charts. Okay, let's go over a chart here. Does everybody know, for instance, there are 4 trends on your charts plus the overall trend? Okay, now I like to personally watch all 4 of those along with the overall trend, because if you look at the overall trend, you won't be on the wrong side of the trade when they decide to really move those things. Okay, by the way, all of these trends have identified swings, and they work exactly the same way that I'm getting ready to explain on these others. Now, this is a real NQ chart right here. I just simply put lightning on it. Okay. Now, on every chart, there are micro swings, there are secondary swings, there are medium swings, there are longer term swings, and then your overall trend. Those are those 4 plus your overall trend. Okay. That's these 4 right here, power meter 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then your overall trend. Okay? There is always a right side and a left side for identified swings. Okay? For instance, if you looked here, you have a high, a low, a lower high, same low, so this doesn't count. Okay, but you still didn't take out the high here, so you have a lower high again, and it did take out this low. Okay? That's your right-hand side. And when this actually took this out right here, it did actually change the power meter 1 to short. Okay? But you have to look to the left to trade the right. Okay? The left will tell you exactly what's going on in your chart. Let me show you what I'm talking about. See this swing over here? This is your left swing. In other words, you have a low here where my cursor's at. I'm going to go ahead and just draw some little ellipses, and let me change them to a nice bright white. Bear with me a second. I was going to do that before we started. We'll just do it like white. And we'll do this like even white too, and just set it like that. Okay. You'll notice that you have a swing here, but this swing here is not technically identified until it takes this swing out. Okay, so once you take this swing out with the close of a bar, which would happen over here, then this swing is identified. So when you have a low, a high, and a higher low and breaks, what is actually your micro trend doing? It's going up, isn't it? Because you have a low, a high, a higher low, and a higher high. And of course, if you look at this, then you have a high, a low, same high basically. So this doesn't count as a swing yet. But then when they take out this swing here, this swing does count. Now I like to, when they're this close together, I kind of tend to gravitate toward this one as my stop. Everybody see why on that? Because for instance, if you're trying to make a real good long run, they're liable to just wick this one out. Okay? Or they might even close a bar, like a 4 range. But as a rule, your secondary swing, which is this one here, they will not take it out if they're going to continue heading up. And technically, they shouldn't even take this one out because this is your identified swing. Okay? Because see, you have a high, a low, and a higher high. This is definitely your identified swing on the left. Okay? Now, when, like I say, when they're that close together within two ticks like that, to give an example, I usually put my stop at the other one. But this is your identified swing right here. Everybody see that? So, if this has a high, a low, a lower high, and takes out this swing, you realize you're not going any further than this if we're going to continue heading up, right? So, not just looking at this particular chart, but realizing that if you were to short this, for instance, and you decided to short it when it broke this, well, let me draw it. Realize that you wouldn't get filled till here, and then you'd have to take it out before here. So that's technically not a trade, right? Because you couldn't possibly get even 5 ticks on that, more than likely. Maybe you might luck out and get 5 ticks, but more than likely not. Okay, you see what I'm getting at? Because if this was going to head up, I expect a higher low, or at least this low to hold. So if you're going to short against the trend, I'd highly recommend literally getting in it on a touch and trying to scalp it. Okay, but if you want to stay with the overall trend, always look to the left to trade the right. Okay, because the left is saying that you've got all of this going in your favor with higher lows, higher highs, right? Higher lows, same high. So we won't even count that one right there, but we can count this, see, because it's higher. And when it took this out, for sure, right? Okay. So isn't this your left-hand side? You've got a high, low, higher high, higher low, and technically we'd just take this one out of the way. Let's just remove it. That's when they get these little micros like Charles S. was talking about. Okay, you might even move this one over here like this, all right? So you have a low, high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. So until they take this out, this is still an uptrend, even on the micro trend. Okay, now like I said, this is real data. And this swing would have to be taken out for this ever to, well, basically break down even. And if it did, you'd more than likely want it to take it out, come and kiss it, and roll over. Okay, but let's look and see what the micro trend is doing on this one. Okay, notice that you kind of bounced off of support. Matter of fact, it looks to me like it's right at the same. It may be a tick difference. Okay, it looks like a tick difference. So isn't that actually a higher low than that right there? You have a hard time identifying a rollover, Mindy? I'll go over a lot of that tonight because I want to show you how to make sure that you stay on the right side of the chart. You remember several times today when I called out deep retracements for longs? That's because the overall trend and even the Lightning 3 was still long. There's no reason going against that unless you scalp. But keep in mind that, you know, when you do, you may scalp for a few ticks and then all of a sudden miss a 45 tick run. Okay? Everybody see this so far though. This is, like I said, a real chart. So this is where our price is at right now. All right? Now, looking at this, can anybody see why you wouldn't really technically want to short this? Because like I said, your fill wouldn't be till there, and you'd want to get out above that swing just in case it bounced. So maybe even right there, that's just not enough of a trade to go against the trend, right? Your micro trend did change on the right, but it didn't change on the left. You see what I mean? And the left is actually the most important part of it. I didn't get that dark enough. Let me get it a lot darker. Okay, everybody see that? So I wouldn't want to short that, right? Because my left side is still saying I'm heading up. Okay, all they're doing is trying to check secondary instead of micro. That's all they're doing is checking the left-hand side and in a continued up move. Now, before I go on further, does everybody understand that? Because that will make a huge difference in your trading. Okay, absolutely. All right. So when I said, and I already gave the answer, but is this trend looking for a long or a short by what I drew here? It's only long, right? Exactly. This is just a retracement. More than likely, that's mid-band. Or a predictor. You want to see if it's a predictor? Look at that. It's looking to the left to trade the right. Now, I'm not going to leave the predictors on because it's a little more confusing with it, but you can see that that was a predictor even right there because it saw this price action. Okay? Remember always, there's a right side and a left side for identified swings. You can start heading down, for instance. This was technically heading down when it broke this little swing right here because it did break your identified swing. So your high, your low, your lower high, and then it broke. But you got to look to the left to see if you want to take that trade or not. Okay? Even on the micro side. And I tend to always go by looking at this. Okay? Now this is basically your lightning 1 and lightning 2. But you also have lightning 3, and it works the same way except it's larger. Okay, there's always identified swings even on your lightning 3. Let me just show you real quick. Everybody got this probably copied or whatever. It'll be on the video, so you'll be able to see all of this, okay? But I'm going to remove all this and then, well, let's see. Do we want to remove it all? We'll just go to the regular chart. Let's just go to the regular chart. Bear with me a second. Okay, bear with me just 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and take some lightning swings and add them. Bear with me a second. I thought I'd get rid of them quicker, but it's not. And let me get rid of the overall trend here because we already drew it, so that's all that matters, right? Now let's look and see if on this chart you can't tell where you could have already taken a trade, okay? Because we make it easy for you to see. Oh, you can make it absolutely, James. On your question, you can make the same methodology on most any size charts. Okay, Charles S. I'll show that. What you want to do on your lightning swings. Let's go ahead and go to my chart first. Okay, what you want to do on your lightning swings is make sure you use our template first. Okay, and lightning 1. I always use the Alt key. All you have to do to get that lightning is simply hold the Alt key down, click on a swing, it should draw it. If it doesn't draw it in the right spot, just click it again and it should. Okay, lightning 2, oh, and keep in mind, lightning 1 is a 4-range chart, 1 swing strength. Lightning 2 is 4-range, 2 swing strength, and we use the Shift key. Lightning 3 is a 4-range but 15 strength. Now what that's looking for is not necessarily 15 strength. It's got algorithms built into it too, so it knows when it's gone past the point of no return. So you'll still get your swings drawing earlier than a full 15 swing strength. Okay, and that's with Control key, and then your lightning 4 is actually a 12-range chart with a 5 swing strength, and it's the backspace key. Okay? And the way you do those is you just simply, let's say I want to draw it from here with my lightning 3. Control key down, left click your mouse, there it is. Okay? Now, let me ask you a quick question here. This is a good area to show you an identified swing. And after just what I taught just a minute ago, can everybody see? Okay, let's see, is that? Yeah, that's just where I drew it. Let me get rid of these. Okay, does everybody see that you have a low here, a higher low, and a higher high, right? Now, identified swing-wise, did this actually change the trend? Did it change the trend when it did that? And the answer is no, because see, here you have support right here, and what did they actually do? They bounced off of it. Okay, this was nothing but an ABC. Now, could you short this? Well, let's say that if you did, what if it just made a higher low and popped up, or what if it made a higher low here and popped up? Do you really have enough room to go there? You see what I mean? And what I recommend is look to the left to trade the right. Stay on the right side of the trend, okay? Because if you stay on the right side of the trend, except for scalping, you're going to make more money. Okay, everybody see that? Even though this had a high, a low, a lower high, you didn't know this was a swing until it took it out, right? You didn't know this was the swing until it took it out on that bar. Okay, but you're at a mid band, so would you short that? No. Looking to the left to trade the right, you wouldn't. Okay. Any questions thus far, even on this right here? Okay, because again, this is going to make a big difference in your trading. When you look to the left to trade the right, if you've got, let's say you wanted to short this right here. Well, if I was to short this with a green midband, I'd put my stop above that bar. I wouldn't let them have any wiggle room. And if I got 7 or 8 ticks, I'd probably get out of the trade, because this is the trade I'd be looking for. Instead, when it comes down to support, just like we did in the room this morning. Okay? Identified swings will make a huge difference in your trading. Okay? Always look at the overall trend. We give you lots and lots of indicators to do just that. To give an example, the mid band. Let's see, would you get in going long at 58.28? And how do you decide it's going up instead of keep going down, Mindy says, at 58.28? Well, what you would do here, now keep in mind that this was at the bell, so you probably wouldn't have gotten this trade to begin with. But let's say that you did decide to box this in down here, pretend it's not 3 in the afternoon and you boxed it somehow and you took the trade. I wouldn't give them a lot of wiggle room. But again, that was at the close of the market on Friday. This is basically starting to open the market on the 13th is what I've got this set at. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and let's look at some identified swings again, and let's see if we can take some trades based on it. Okay. What is the, you've got a high, you've got a low, you've got a little lower high, a little lower low. Okay, but looking to the left to trade the right. Whoops, sorry about that. Looking to the left to trade the right. Do you see that you have a little shelf pops up? So isn't this what I would consider to be my identified swing on the left side? Remember, maybe even here, see that little swing? But I always look at this one too, and it's only a couple of ticks. So there's where we draw that stop. Okay? Everybody see why? Because that's your identified swing. I'll draw it with lightning 2. See there, you have a high, you have a low, basically the same high, higher low, higher high. That's your identified swing on the left. Okay, this is the left side of the trade. This is the right side of the trade. Let's see, just a second. James says, because that's where it broke out from. You're talking about down here? Well, that would be technically like a support bounce type trade, but keep in mind, again, that was at the close of the bell, so you wouldn't have gotten that one. Oh, where I put that line, that's the identified swing. Remember where we drew it on the other chart? Let me go back to that chart. Remember where we drew that swing right there? High, Then you had a little retrace, but isn't that still your low, your identified low on the left? So until they take that out, they're not even trying to head down. Okay? So if you look at this chart over here, you have a low, you have a high, you have a higher low, you have a higher high. So technically, this is your identified swing. But again, like I say, when I just get a couple of ticks or so away, I use the secondary one. Okay, see how that's 34, let's say 34 and a quarter, and the other one's 34.75. There's only 2 ticks difference in that right there. You got it? This right here, if you just look to the left to trade the right and use that even on your longer term swings and your medium swings, you will make more money trading because you won't get on the wrong side of the trade. Okay? Now, like I say, if you want to put up a second chart and you want to short and try to get 5 ticks, if I was to short this one up here, I would have probably looked to the left and seen if that was actually a resistance area or something like that, and probably shorted it at predictor, something like that. But keep in mind, what I'm going to teach tonight, I'm not going to teach you how to scalp against the trend. I want everybody to start really sticking with the overall trend, because the overall trend is where you're going to make your money. Is that a lower low than this over here? That's your high, that's your low, that's your higher high. This is based on the 15 swing strength, but don't you see a high, a low, and a higher high, and then a big ABC? Did they take out that swing right across there? The answer is no. So let's pretend that this was not 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you didn't short this until like way down here, to give an example. You see what I mean? Don't you want to wait for it to kiss support, or maybe even take it out just a little bit like we did this morning? If it even takes it out like a little bit down in here, I still consider that a long, okay, because it's more like a phantom. And you're going to see that time and time again. We're not going to go as much into Object Trader tonight as really showing you these identified swings, because it will make a world of difference in your trading. Let's see, so if that retrace went lower than 34 and a quarter, you wouldn't take a long. Well, not until a deeper retrace. But keep in mind, there are 4 trends on your chart. If they break micro, right-hand side, but don't break basically your micro left-hand side, then you're still heading up with a vengeance, okay? If they break this over here, then more than likely they're coming down, to check like a little bit larger swing, something like this, thrust, retrace, thrust, and then give you a higher low. And you could still get in this area. You see what I mean? You just got to look to the left to trade the right. Thrust, retrace, thrust. That'd be a little bit different swings. Let me show it to you. I'll draw it. Bear with me a second. All right, let's take everything off the chart for just a second. I'll show you what you're seeing there, and I'll take this one off. Okay, everybody see this? Thrust. It'll draw it with our lightning anyway, but I want to show you just by drawing it on the chart. Thrust, retrace, right? It's trying to draw it. Let me kill that. All right. Thrust. Okay, I missed that a little bit, but you can see it. Retrace, right? Same as here, close enough anyway. Retrace. All right, so if it breaks this right here, that's what you consider to be your micro trend, and I'd draw it right here instead, okay? But wouldn't this one down here more than likely hold? So could this actually still come down here and still be a long trend? And the answer is yes. Because if you looked at the overall, you would see this. See where that held right there? And now you've got this going, okay? So if this even held on an upward move, this would be doing nothing but taking out the micro swing. But if this held, for instance, and you got a bounce off of this area like down here even, then this would still be considered a long. And keep in mind, you're looking for longs as long as phantom, midband, and all this is stair-stepping to the upside. Okay? Once it goes flat for a long time, you can look both ways, but always look to the left to trade the right. Because while somebody's shorting maybe a break below mid-band, like in through here, I'd be waiting to get in long here myself because I look at all three trends. Okay. Now this was actually at the market open yesterday. Okay. And I'll show you what you can also do. I did this yesterday, as a matter of fact. Let's just go ahead and put Object Trader on. And let's go past, we got to get to 5 o'clock. See, I'm at 10:30 in the morning. There was no trading then, obviously. So let's go ahead and let it run. It'll go quick. Fairly quick anyway. Let's see if I'm missing anything. Yeah, now one thing, MG, on your question though, keep in mind that when they break micro, they'll go down and check those medium swings, okay? But always look to the left to trade the right and make sure that, you know, your overall trend, for instance, is really going the direction you want it to. Just like I showed in the webinar on, well, the last webinar that we had Saturday, okay? Let's see, that's about 4:29 in the afternoon. Now watch what happened at 5 o'clock. Okay, that's what happened at 5 o'clock. Okay. Everybody see that? Now, if you had stealth on, you'll notice that you got this green one and you got this other green one, you got another one right here. And I actually got this where it just simply turned it off, and I turned it back on. But if you missed this one, I'm pretty sure it just ran. Okay, after that. But let's watch over it and see if anybody can tell me if we're still in an uptrend or not, even if we get a deep retracement. Let's just let this run for a bit. I'll run it at like 100 times. Now keep in mind, we're not really looking as much to trade this as I am to show you how to recognize swings. Let me fix these predictors real quick. We need to set that as our default and go ahead and reload the chart. Bear with it just a second. Don't lock up on me, Ninja. Okay. All right, judging by what we just talked about, let's see if we can draw it. Okay, so you got a low here, a high here, a higher low, and a much higher high. Okay, now this is saying that this little swing right here is your identified swing because it's already identifying it. Okay, but let's watch and see, and you tell me if you would go short or long here in a minute. Let's just see if we can learn some lessons on this. Okay, right there. Anybody? Are you looking for long or short? Absolutely. There you go. Most of you got it. Everybody see that? Now keep in mind that when you get this trade like this right here, and you can get this trade. Let me just show you how you could get this. You could do it with stealth. You could do it with power meter 1. But does everybody see that? What if you would have boxed this in? Let's just say that you saw this swing, you saw this one, and you said, oh, okay, I'm gonna box this in just like this. Okay, so you got filled on that bar to the downside. Okay, was that a happy move? No. No. Was that a predictor saying it was going up? Was that also a swing over here where it just shot up like that? Awful close. See it right across there? It tried its dead level best to tag it. Okay, so if you were trading this, let's just say that you said, okay, it's after 5 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and trade this, and let's go ahead and do we'll do replay, of course. That's what it's in, and we'll do a lightning type trade. We'll do 2 contracts, with lightning, PM1. And of course, you could have already gotten in this. And you can clearly see you should already be in this trade, everyone, right? Okay, so I'd be looking for a little retracement to see if I could get in this trade. And let's just see if we get a little lightning. Heading up a little bit. Let's see if we get a lightning. It would have to break right here to get lightning, right now anyway. Now, if this came down and kissed this area right here, again, I would probably get in this trade. So let's just, for the fun of it, I'm going to go 1, okay? Because I see it hitting support. And I'll put my stop just underneath the swing. Exit on close. Okay? And then let's see if we can get in some power meter trade with some more. Okay? We're still heading down a little bit. What we could break down, absolutely. But what's the overall trend? Anybody? The overall trend is up. Yeah, we're not feeling any heat just yet. Got about 10 bucks. Now we're to -5. Now we're 10 again. Everybody see that? You're going to oscillate back and forth when you get in a trade. There's not a question about that. It held the low. See it? Held that low right there. PM changes to green. We'll get in 3 more. And you just got a green PM. Now see how lightning 3 was looking at all this? Now you have a high, you have an established low. Because it was counting all of this stuff going on here with all this sideways stuff, and it calculated that this is your new low. Everybody see that? Now is that an identified low on lightning 3? By what I taught earlier? And the answer is no. Because you have a high, you have a low. You haven't taken out that high yet, have you? So technically, this low is not established, right? So if they were to break this low and do something like this and change my background to red, I'd be ready to short them, okay? Because they'd do something like that and probably check this level right here, okay? But until they even do that, you have a high, you have a low, you've got a lower high, right? And they haven't taken out the low. So we have not changed trend directions yet. Everybody see that? High, low, lower high still until we take out this high way over here. Everybody see that? That's your identified swings. Let me get these out of the way while I teach. We'll see if we can get that predictor. Now, how many of you go against the trend and go short? You know, for instance, if you were in this boxing this in, you wouldn't have gotten a trade. But I'll guarantee you the people that turned on stealth, to give an example, it might be too late for stealth. We'll find out. Yeah, stealth already turned. See it right there? So we're not going to get any more. But look at that. You've got a nice little trade going right now. And just the way we teach it, you look to the left to trade the right, and you stay in a nice trade. And the overall trend is up. We didn't get this. And look at that. It just took out the high. That's definitely an established swing now. Everybody see that? Now this is about 6:12 in the evening. You know, when I was trading last night, I didn't get this one here because I was just going in and, you know, I told everybody in the room this morning, I got a quick 400 bucks when it did this stuff right here. And I mean, that thing just shot up like a bullet. And guess what? You just get out. Under there, right? You don't have to short it. You just have to get out because the overall trend is still up. Everybody see that? Now, as far as what we call your micro trend, you can go ahead and take your coin off the table if it takes out your micro trend. Everybody knows that, right? And then you could always get back in. Watch for lightning one. You know, for instance, if I'm in two here and I want to go ahead and get out on lightning one, I just simply do this with at least the amount of contracts that I'm in. And if lightning one goes short, I can just simply take my coin. That's more or less doing a little bit more smart trading and using the identified swing of the micro side, not so much the larger. Everybody see that? So why would you want to be going against the trend when we got the tools on our charts to tell you where to do it? Because I already said if this would have been a high, a low, a lower high, like in through here, and rolled over, that you could short. Once it does that, you could short this after it thrusts down a little bit, comes back and kisses and rolls. Okay. Now look at this. We got out of our trade while I was watching. It did take it out. Okay. Let's turn on stealth. See if we can get stealth. Stealth, remember, is always going to be a little bit more of a breakout trade until we get that magic one built that you're going to be able to click stealth and you're going to have a window come up and you're going to say, okay, I want a particular angle on it. I want a particular amount of bars. I want whatever. You can customize it. See, because if it does stealth now, it's going to be right in through here. I can tell. Probably won't get a stealth for, there you go. You just got a stealth. Okay. And see, to me, that's a little bit more of a breakout. And where would I put my stop? Right underneath the swing. Okay. Now, let me ask you another question. By looking at that chart, again, what is the overall direction on this chart? Anybody? It doesn't take rocket science to figure out that this thing is just heading up like crazy, does it? Now you have a high, you have a low, you have a higher high. This is definitely your identified swing. But if you want to trust your micro, you can always turn on power meter to get out of this trade. Power meter 1, short. If it changes red, I'll get out of the trade. Okay? That way you don't have to give up all this, because if this gets a lower high than here and takes this swing out, I'll be out of this trade. If it shoots up, I'm a happy camper. Okay, whoop, I got to turn it back. Oh, I did bar close. Duh, I went flat. Sorry about that. I turned on bar close instead. Let's just go ahead and take a... Will we get another stealth? Maybe not. I'm going to go ahead and take that since it bounced. Yeah, I'm going to take it. See it breaking a little swing. Keep in mind that this trend is way, way up, so I'm going to put a tight stop on it like that. Exit on close. Okay, we got out accidentally because I turned on bar close instead of stealth, or instead of PM. Got to always watch what you're turning on. Okay. Now, judging by what's happening on this chart, whoa, look at that. I think I just saved myself right there, and we're going to turn on PM short just in case, because that did a huge thrust up. And if it changes power meter to red, we'll get out of the trade. Not yet. It will when it takes this out. There you go. It just got flat. Okay, now quick question for everybody. What would it take to change the direction of this chart? Because after a move like this, I'll bet you go into consolidation, more than likely. But I'll show you where they're going to try to go down to and check. You want to see it? Right there. Why do I think that's there? Anybody? Because it shot up and it hadn't checked it yet. You want to see if it does? Let's see. Watch it make a liar out of me. Maybe not. We'll find out. Look at that. Checked it. Checked it. I'd turn on power meter because this is a high, a low, a lower high, right? You did take out the low a little bit, but it checked just exactly where I thought it should. Okay. Now, does this mean in the middle of the night you couldn't have done a little short like with a trend line or something? Sure you could. Okay. And matter of fact, if you get a red background like this, you want to probably turn on your power meter short instead. And since it's red, we're not going to be able to get the trade, but we'll see if we can get it if it turns green. Because our overall trend technically is down now, except for this fact. That's your overall trend right there. But keep in mind, we're not going to let it retrace all the way down to there because that would be foolish. Okay. But we do have a mid-band now. We're going to look for a mid-band type trade. But I'm going to simply turn on lightning. If it turns green, we'll take the trade if it turns red. See if we get it. There it's green. There it's red. That faked us. Not a biggie. We'll do it again. See if we get another one. That's a new session too, but let's see if we can get it. If we get a lightning to the downside, there it is. There you go. You just got you a trade. Okay. Now, let me ask a quick question. On this chart with this ABC, if this doesn't take this out right here, does anybody think that more than likely this is going to head up, not down? See what I mean there? See there? Why did we take this? Even here we had an ABC, right? And it looks to me like we're still heading up somewhat. You're starting to get a low, a high, a higher low again. See it? Identified swings. There you go. Okay. What does everybody think about identified swings so far? What do you think about identified swings as looking at every single chart from now on? Because it will make a difference. Now, like I said, does that mean that you can't take this short here where we did this power meter? Sure, because our background was red and our midband was magenta. But our overall trend, and you got to always look at the overall trend too. High, low, higher high, chopping around garbage. Didn't take out the top yet, but let's just see what. We'll just run it for a little bit at 500 times. And you tell me if the overall trend is down or up. Checking support. See it check that support. Stealth went green. Higher low. See it? Already clicked it. And there's your answer to that. See how it's still heading up? Does anybody remember what we got on NQ today? How well that did? Keep watching and you'll see. Watch how this will drop right up there when that's your low right now on your medium swing. That's your high. This will be your new low. See it? There's your new high. May make this low. That's okay. And again, what is your overall trend? Remember that trade? Does anybody remember that trade that I called in the room this morning? Right around 8 something. Remember this trade right through here? That was about 8:45 a.m. I'm running this way too fast to trade it. Obviously, it's 500 times. But we called this trade right here Some of our people drew trend lines like so. It's moving. You can't draw on a chart that's moving. Anyway, does anybody see why you wouldn't have been shorting these mid bands through here? Let me stop this for just a second. Let's look at this. You have a high, you have a low, you have a higher high. This is before we even open the market, or right thereafter. See, this is when the market opened. And look at that beautiful box you could have drawn at the open of the market. Okay, but then watch and see if you don't get same high. Remember, we even talked about a toppy. But is that an identified swing? The answer is no. It's not an identified swing. So when you get this one that comes down lower, like so, did it take out this swing? And is your mid-band heading up like we talked about? Phantom's heading up. So why would you want to short this here? You want to try to stay as much as possible with your overall trend. Okay? Because if this was to break down, I could tell you where to break down. By looking at this chart, you have a high, you have a low, you have a little bit lower high. So I consider that like a same high. That's pretty much like a head and shoulders. But this is your low right here that they're kind of giving you as a low. And if they go taking this out right here, remember how we barely took it out? I called this trade also. I even said in real time in the room, I said they're going to take out our support by a few ticks and they're going to bounce. And I said turn on power meter 1, and we got that trade right there. And then guess what it did? I'll speed it up again. Anybody remember that trade? So can identified swings make a difference in your trading? And the absolute answer to that is yes. Okay, and again, you got to always look to the left to trade the right. Okay, because let me slow this down. This high, this low, this high, this was not an established low because it didn't take out this swing. If it would have taken out this swing like this, you know, a good something like up in here, I'd consider that an identified swing. But still looking to the left, I'd still know that this is what I call my medium swing. Okay? And until that medium swing is taken out, this noise right here is just good times to jump in. That's why this trade was called here. It was called here. Off that little bottom, remember, called it as a phantom. It perfectly came down to that support, by the way. Definitely a good way to trade, everyone. Does anybody have any questions? I've got about 12 minutes left, but you know, it's up to y'all. We can even wrap early as far as that goes. Now, with what I just talked about, now you definitely do have a identified swing. This is no longer your identified swing. See, it took out all this top. So this is your new identified swing right here on our medium trend. So would you be wanting to box this in both directions? Or would you want to take a long? Anybody? Because I'll do whatever you want, but I want to show you why. For instance, if you just box this in, let's say that you're a gutsy trader and you want to do a touch trade. Let's just see what it'll do. Let's do a region and let's box it in, but let's just say, you know what, if it just touches it, I'll take either way. Okay? And then I'll turn off the other one. I want to show you why this can be a mistake, because this is basically still retracing. It's trying to come right down to there and possibly even right there. There's a little swing there. See it? Okay. Now see how you get into a trade if you do the touch? Okay. Now I'm not saying to do that because this is an uptrend. This is not a downtrend. Let's reverse it if it takes out that little box right there. I just wanted to show you why you want to be really careful doing touch type trades with boxes. See there? It just bounced off of support. That is a long trade. Matter of fact, I'd be doing this. I'd probably do 6 contracts and put my stop just underneath there, something like that. Simply because what did that do? It came down and tested a previous support area. Right on the money, as a matter of fact. And I could even add more. See, we're in 9 now. Well, we did touch. We should have done close. Everybody see that? Don't go against even the secondary trend as far as that goes, okay? Let's draw the secondary trend on this chart, see what it said. Okay, you have a high, you have a low, you have a higher high, higher low, higher high, barely. This does not constitute this as being my swing. This is my swing. Everybody see that? Looking to the left to trade the right, what are they trying to do? They're trying to get a higher low than this so they can head back up. They came down to mid-band. They did not take out that swing. Everybody see that? So be careful if you're going to just box in around mid-band and stuff like that, except at the open where they can go both directions, especially on NASDAQ. You can get some good trades. And my next webinar, I want to teach y'all how to use the region box as the 759 opening trade, because that can be a very, very good trade. And I think you'd see it if you just draw your boxes on your charts. Okay, let me see if I missed any questions. Bear with me a second. If you have time, can you explain the concept in finding the sweet spot? Sure. Because the sweet spot is really important to begin with, okay? Now, what I like to do personally, let's just kill this trade. We don't care about the trade. This is all about teaching. Okay, so if I was watching this in real time, what I'm doing is I'm going to look to the left to trade the right. Okay, and I see a swing across here. Okay, so that's where I would draw. And by the way, as close to mid-band as you possibly can. That's usually where these swings are really good at bouncing. So basically, this would have been the sweet spot to me, like this, from this swing here to right in through there. Because if it came down and kissed it, it would bounce. So that's the way I look at sweet spots. Look to the left, draw the box. Of course, keep in mind that the best way to not get on the wrong side of the trade is let lightning go ahead and tell you when it's time to join the trade again. And the trade was joined right there when it closed above that swing. See there? High, low, lower high, little lower low, same high, negates that. So now you have a thrust retrace, little lower low, little lower high, but it finally takes it out. So that's your swing, right? Then it comes down, comes back up, comes down. This is your swing. And right there on that bar would be your entry if you use Lightning 1. Okay, because you don't know when you set up a sweet spot even if they're going to take it down further, because when they break micro, a lot of times they will go down and check, lower areas. But these numbered swings are your most important. They will normally check those. If you draw like right here to give an example and look to the left, you'll see that they did just that. They checked that swing and that swing right there. Those are those numbered swings. But also these beautiful trades that, well, when lightning starts going your direction again, if you're heading down like this, to give an example, let me just draw this real quick. You're heading down, all right, a little bit like this. When would you take this trade if I draw this right now? Anybody? Are you in a long trade yet? Anybody? See that? Absolutely. I drew that, but that happens all the time. That's your trade. You just got a higher low, you took out your high. That's a lightning trade. You simply get long on the bar that closes above it. You put your stop right there. Absolutely. And closest to midband is always the best. Absolutely. For those retracements. Because the midband is a median. It's looking at all this price action and it's going to gravitate toward the midband. And you've probably heard us say this before. There's actually a money band on this chart too. The money band is from line 5 to line 3 and line 4. Okay. Let me get rid of everything and I'll show you. Let me get rid of the lightning. I'll get rid of this one too. Okay. The money band is literally a little 12 tick area from line 5 to line 3, which is right there. That's a little box. So, this is actually where line 5 is, or line 3 is right there. That's a 12 tick box right there. If you draw your lines, you'd see that's, well, that's probably 91.75 to 94.75, right? That's 12 ticks. Okay? And you will find that if you wait for lightning to go your direction, when did lightning go your direction on this particular chart? Let's say that you weren't even in this trade yet, but you're watching this. You got a high, you got a low, you got a lower high. Didn't take out the low, does not identify that swing. So you go high, low, lower high, because it did take out this swing, right? So that's your stair stepping down. Now, when did it start stair stepping up? It shot up and it took out that swing right there. That's exactly when that changed trend directions back the other way. Now, does that mean you couldn't already be in this trade if you're an aggressive trader down here? Absolutely, because you already got 10 ticks. The other guy's waiting on here. But what about this guy that gets in and this thing just decides to do this instead? And that happens to the best traders in the world as far as that goes. You get in at midband and it goes like that. Well, don't let it go like that. If you get in here and it pops up and then it rolls over and it takes that out, get out. Don't reverse it though. Not as long as the identified swings are still heading up, because identified swings will make a huge difference in your bottom line. Let me just fire it up and you'll see. Remember NQ? Anybody? Any reason to go short on that chart? Not hardly, right? Not hardly. There's your identified swing right there. Taking out a little bit. What do you think? Will it go up the rest of the day after 10:30? Looks like it. Maybe. We'll find out. Now, you did get, by the way, the way we like to teach trading and everything, you did get a beautiful rollover trade, which you could have easily taken, gotten at least 10 ticks. You got another trade up in here that you could easily take and gotten some ticks, right? Okay. While this is chopping around. But what do you think it more than likely did the rest of the day after that? You want to bet? Let's just see. Because I drew my identified swing and it barely took it out. So is the trend down or up? The overall trend, look at that. See it trying to head up? Now, when it's doing this, you could short, right? But until it takes out these identified swings, you're still heading the right direction. Does this mean that, just like I taught this other trade though, thrust, retrace, thrust, retrace, thrust, retrace, thrust, box it in, 10 tick trade. Thrust up, box it in, 10 tick trade. Hits a predictor, box it in, 10 tick trade. Hits a predictor, box it in, you never got the trade. Okay? It's definitely a good way to trade, I promise you. Just watch your identified swings, stick with the overall trend, and I bet you if you block this in right here, this is more than likely going to be another up move. I didn't trade it later on, but we'll find out. Identified swings. Always watch for the overall trend because it is the most important. See if it takes out that line I just drew. See there? It was just support so far. A little choppy, but could you buy support down there where I drew that line? I drew that line ahead of time. Yep. Overall trend is still up. Sloppy, but still up because you looked at identified swings on your Lightning 3, Lightning 4. And we drew this line way ahead of time because it was over here at the time, right? Right there. And it held except for just barely taking it out. Gives you shorts, long trade right above mid-band. Definitely a good way to trade. Stay with the overall trend, watch your identified swings, and I think it'll make a huge difference. But before I go, long or short, anybody? I say long. Did it go long? Certainly did, didn't it? Because why? Because we had a high, we had a low, we had a higher high. Did this low take out this low? No. Identified swing. Beautiful, beautiful way to trade. Okay, thanks everyone for coming. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll do this in the room tomorrow. We'll call some great trades. Don't just get in the habit of just trading all day unless you just want to sit at a computer. Okay, I'm out of time on my deal here, but what do you think it more than likely did after this? I don't have the data, but if anybody does, I'll just about bet you it kept going up. Anybody got the data? It hit 59.16. And after that, did it go up even after that? At 59.38 now. See, it's way up here. It's way up here. I ran out of data. That's the end of my data because I just ran it till about 5 o'clock. And that's the end. See, it's paused. Okay? But if you stick with the overall trend and watch our mid-band stepping up and our phantom stepping up, don't go against it. If it starts stair-stepping down, you can. See, it started stair-stepping down here, so you short. You short. You short. You draw a box here, you never got your short. You got a long. Then you go to mid-band heading up again, you got a long. Mid-band's heading up again, you box it in, you got a long. Didn't take out support. Could you buy this? Mid-band's saying yes. And overall, the trend's still up. Okay. Thanks, everyone, for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. And we will see you tomorrow morning. Identified swings will make a difference. Good night, everyone. Kenneth, did I do that? Did I explain the right side versus the left side? Okay, good deal. I will explain it again then. John, I'll tell you what, I'll show everybody in the room tomorrow. How's that? With live data. John said, I love it, but did not understand the left side as well as you have explained it. But I will be happy to explain that again. Okay. And Mindy said, would you trade after 5 p.m. on Sunday? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you've got the time. Okay. Thanks again, everyone. See you tomorrow morning. Good night.